So the full moon in Aries comes up this weekend, and we've got this major cardinal sign activation that's happening in the current transiting sky. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. Cardinal signs, Aries, this full moon, and sort of contextualize these transits within our current moment. And so welcome here. My name is S.J. Anderson. Thank you for coming to check out my channel and checking out the astrology that I offer here. And this is the chart. This is the chart that I'm going to be breaking down a little bit in this video. You can see it's on Sunday, 9 October, 22:54 in Central Europe, Central European Daylight Time. We get this peak full moon in Aries, this last syzygy before the Scorpio eclipse, the solar eclipse in Scorpio that's going to happen on the 25th of October. So this is that final peak of pre-eclipse energy. And I want to underscore that it's the final peak of pre-eclipse energy. So there's a lot that can, I think, be done here. We can work with this in a unique way because it's not this eclipse moment yet. And so I'm not going to do too much more now. I just want to start by breaking down the concept of Aries and what is Aries and why is Aries a significant archetype? Well, there's something called the first point of Aries, another name for the vernal equinox. 2,000 years ago, Hipparchus first used the term. And this is the idea that when the sun comes to Aries, this first point of Aries, you get this vernal equinox. And likewise, the first point of Libra, the autumnal equinox. And that's what's so powerful about these cardinal signs, that they're initiations of a new solar energetic, a new relationship with the earth and the sun. Because at the points when the sun comes to the points of the equinox, you can see here the ecliptic is the path of the sun in the sky, but the equinox is different. So when you project out the plane of the equinox, you can see that this is the point when the sun meets the plane of the the equinox is the wrong term, the equator, pardon me. When the sun meets the plane of the equator projected out, you get the same amount of daylight between the same amount of time between nighttime and daytime. And that's why there's a major shift, because after the vernal equinox, you have more sun. After the autumnal equinox, you have less sun. And of course, that's flipped if you're in a different hemisphere. But the main reason why I'm offering this is why these are points of initiation. This is why Aries is a cardinal sign and Libra is a cardinal sign, because it's initiation of a whole new relationship to day and night. And that's how we would read Aries and Libra, and really all cardinal signs, is we're initiating something new and different. There's a beginning that takes place that is heralded in by activations in both Aries and Libra, of course, Cancer and Capricorn. And so I want to just point out too that how important these points are in mundane astrology, how important the cardinal signs are in mundane astrology, and particularly this Aries, the sign Aries. You go, here's Mashallah, I think. He is one of the most famous astrologers in the Arabic world. And Mashallah had developed the idea of the revolutions of the years. So when the sun comes to that first point of Aries, we look at that chart, mundane astrologers, to examine what's going to happen, because it's the sense of the new that's being initiated. And I offer this, there's a whole separate mundane conversation I've looked at on this channel before, but it's really to kind of understand the archetype of Aries itself. These are moments of initiation, the archetypes of Libra itself, because it's a cardinal sign as well. These mundane astrologers would look at ingresses not only to the first point of Aries, but to the first point of every cardinal sign to examine what will happen as that cardinal energy is offered. And you see here, this is quotes from Ibn Ezra. He's an astrologer later in the tradition, but he talks about the revolution of the world. That's the Aries Ingress. It's a special horoscope cast every year for when the sun enters Aries to forecast the next year. And so there's this notion of Aries as an energizing, beginning force of initiation. And so because we have a full moon there, I know it's Libra season, but the full moon in Aries provides a dose of this initiation energy. And certainly Libra does too, also as a cardinal sign. You can look at Rudyard. I just went on the final kind of examination of the Aries archetype here, doing it shortly, but for this video, look at Rudyard. He describes in his book, The Pulse of Life, my favorite book of signology. He says here, the new star, this would be Aries, asserts his right before the footlights of the human consciousness. Henceforth, the show will be his. And there's something about Aries where we're coming into the domain of our own power to initiate things that we have chosen to initiate through our own will and power. Of course, in Libra, we're initiating things maybe more within a group setting. And this is a full moon in Aries, like we've got now. I've got the chart back here. So we're capturing that sort of self component of initiation that comes every year in Libra season when the focus is the group and the collective. We get these little pockets where it's time to revisit our own role in the collective energy and the collective psyche. And so just to break down this chart a little bit more, I want to point out here the things in this chart that are most pronounced. Look at the sextile from Saturn applying and the trine from Saturn to the sun applying. There's a role of Saturn in Aquarius here that's quite powerful. Saturn is almost stationing direct. It will station direct on the 22nd of October. So it's slowing down and getting strong now. This is a very supportive Saturn in this chart via aspect and very close aspect. And I think what I would delineate this as is consider right now, March 2020 until this moment in time, all the changes in the world, all the changes in your life, the Aquarian changes, the importance of the internet, the reassertion of the kind of global consciousness as a result of the difficulties that the world has faced, the difficulties the world is now facing with a, nuclear winter right in the forefront of the conversation now. But all of the changes, the growth you've had, your personal growth, what Saturn has given you or taken away to form a new you, this syzygy, this full moon in Aries, we can use the Saturn-9 changes and the Saturn-9 deeper structural changes in our lives to really assert, I think, with this moment and this syzygy. So that's the Saturn role. Second, look at Jupiter with the moon co-present, the kind of expansions of Jupiter that has happened, those expansions that have happened while Jupiter has been in Aries since May 2022. Jupiter's finishing up its time in late October. It will sneak back into Pisces. So this is kind of the final culmination of Jupiter and Aries' story with this full moon. And so we can use those powers, everything since May that have been building up to this moment. This is that culminating moment. Look where Venus is, both benefics blending with the moon and the sun, the luminaries, the body, the consciousness, get the beautiful support of the benefic planets here. And then it's sextiles and trines from Saturn and Mars. I mean, this is a lovely chart, an elegant geometry of these aspects, and it's very supportive. Look at the number of planets save Mercury of the traditional planets. You have 6 of the 7 in what we call day sex signs, or so-called masculine signs. These are signs of the outer world. There's 2 weddings I've heard about that are happening during this cardinal activation, this special cardinal moment. It's perfect. You're initiating a new change, getting married, changing your role in society by joining with another person. But so many projects are happening right now. I've got some cool stuff I'll be launching here before all this cardinal activation is said and done. It's a time of initiation. And so I just wanted to point this chart out. I'm not going to break it down too much. I kind of want to keep moving here, but just the power here of the initiations that are captured in both Aries and Libra, and the support of all of the major planets here, even Mercury now direct. And that's the next thing. Well, actually, I want to just remind us of the tarot, the card here. It's your domain of power. And this is the card that corresponds to Aries. How are you using your power, using your will, using everything you've learned? Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter in Aries. This is the moment for it. This week and until we get to, right? And by the way, you're the emperor of your domain. Even if you just have one little backpack and sleeping in the corner of a room, you have control over things, some things. This is the time to decide or figure out, and then use the will that you have to kind of deploy the things you have domain over or control over in a way that's, you're moved to spiritually, from your own guides or from your relationship with the gods, or just your own inner wisdom or your own rational thought, however you approach your own ontology. So This is the other thing I want to close here. Remember, Mercury is now direct in its home sign of Virgo, and now the fall is more dynamic. We don't have the blocks and delays of the Mercury retrograde, and Mars will not station retrograde until later. I think it's 30 October. So it's this sweet pocket with both Mars and Mercury in direct motion. And so we have Mercury coming into Libra here on the 11th of October, and it's a very sweet pocket of follows astrology to have this Libra stellium and this dynamic cardinal activation with both benefics and the cardinal axis. And so part of this video, the short notion here is get excited and get dynamic and get involved in life and use your power and your activity and your activation. It's the perfect time right now to engage in what you want to be doing and initiating. I know, like I said, I've got a lot of stuff. A lot of my astrologer friends, we're all like working hard to launch things and be engaged with this very supportive energy. And you can come back here because once these eclipses hit, so here's the ingress of Mercury, here's that Libra stellium starting on 11 October. Remember, right when Mercury ingresses into Libra, it makes an applying opposition to Jupiter. It gets that touch point with Jupiter right away. We have the mercurial powers coming into Libra, being supported now by both benefics here. It opposes Jupiter, then applies to Venus. Mercury gets some sweetened activation, and nitroplicity ruler of Libra. And then here's that 17th moon. I want to remind everybody 16th and 17th. This Cancer moon is my favorite out of this whole lunation cycle, or the post full moon sector of the lunation, because you get now the moon applying to Venus, Mars trining the Venus Sun moment here. And there's just a lot of support with this lunar activation of the cardinal axis. So you might want to consider that for some of this waning cycle as we prepare for eclipses. And then that's the final thing I'm going to end the video with. Look at this. Everything changes on the 23rd of October. The Saturn station's direct, and then Venus and the Sun come into Scorpio, and then there's a solar eclipse on the 25th. So this is the whole point of the video. This wonderful sweet spot of cardinal activation that full moon in Aries is a representation of. That's time is now for the fall. And just to say here, I was talking with some friends about this. These are difficult eclipses, very difficult. And so if there was a time to act and getting really fully engaged, it's now. It's this cardinal activation with both benefics there. And then we come into the eclipses and we're kind of able to rest on our laurels a little bit, or sort of deal with the consequences of our actions. But we have to act sometimes in life, and this is the time to do it. And then we can sort of pick up the pieces later. So this is the video. Let me just come back here. Thanks for being here. I'm glad to be able to offer this and share this. Enjoy this particular moment in time. And you can always go to my website, sjAnderson144. You can see here it is, schedule an astrology reading. You have links to my other videos. So check that out if you're interested. Take care. Have a lovely week until we speak again. Talk soon. Bye.